I'm Zeron, and welcome to Dota School. Alright, so I just wanted to do a stream. Might be doing more videos of these. We'll see how it goes. What I wanted to do was run through a little basics. Now, not super basics. I'm going to assume that you know kind of how the game works. You know, the spells and roles and that kind of thing. But what we're going to look at is how to play those roles. We're going to talk about support today because nobody seems to want to play support, so I'm here to explain how it actually works. Each role has their different responsibilities, and supports early game are the most dynamic of players. If you're in mid, you're in a 1v1 matchup, but largely it's going to be a kind of a farm battle and then control runes. If you're safe lane carry, you're just trying to get as much farm as possible. If you're off lane, you're just trying not to die. So with supports, you're the ones making things happen early game. You're the backup plan. You're the support, literally, of everybody else on the field. So you need to be wherever you need to be. So we're taking a look at a game here. We'll be on the Dire side. I am playing Rubik. Our tri-lane will be Crystal Maiden, Slardar, and Rubik. We've got Sniper mid, Clockwork off lane up against a Invoker in the mid. Up top, we'll have the Darkseer off lane and the safe lane of Weaver, Venomancer, and Shadow Shaman. So first things first, what do we buy? What do we buy? What do we buy? So for supports, what you want to do is there's 600, for most support combos, there's 600 gold worth of support items to buy at the start of the game. So you want to split that up, 300, 300. One gets a courier, that's 150 gold, and observer wards, that's 150 more gold. The other support will get sentry wards, 200 gold, and a smoke of deceit, that's 100 gold, totaling 300, a nice even split. So observer wards, pretty straightforward. You need them in the early game. It's a big help, one, to your mid to cover at least one rune spot, and can also be a big boon to your offlaner to give them some vision around this whole area here, so they, especially when you're playing Dire off lane, which is much more difficult than Radiant off lane, to not get snuck around behind these trees and caught out, which will allow you to get a lot more experience. This replay is from 6.79, so at this point we could not share the wards. It's either give both wards to the offlaner or neither. In 6.8 you can now choose your ward and click it on a hero to give them one charge. Which is what you would normally do. Give one to the offlaner, carry the other one, put that up around the rune, depending on what you're expecting from your lane, and go from there. So let's take a look at our first responsibilities. This game, also the sentry wards, that's for dewarding. So if you see any wards, first up, the primary function is to deward the pull camp. If they want to block up your pull with a ward, you want to be able to deward that immediately, or that can really set your supports back. Not as bad here because we have a Crystal Maiden who can make good use out of the jungle with Frostbite, which can kill large creeps right away because it lasts 10 seconds on creeps. But that's what normally you want it for. Plus, it would be nice just to have them for Weaver if it ever comes up. If we don't end up needing to use them early on, you can also deward any wards that you see the opponent put up. But we also have a Smoke of Deceit, and that's what we're going to be using immediately. In coordinated games, or especially when you're defensive tri-lane against defensive tri-lane, it's not the mid ganking the other lanes, it's the supports ganking primarily the mid lane, and that's what the Smoke of Deceit is for. If there were a ward here, you could not just walk through, and that's the primary function of the smoke. If you walk under a ward, you're completely invisible, so you smoke up, they can't see us, we're going to go in and just hang out up on this area here. And then when we get the opportunity, if the enemy invoker is up too far, then we can go in. Here it should have been me leading, but it will be Crystal Maiden going first. The reason I should lead is that mine is instant cast, and I'm a faster hero than Crystal Maiden. But we'll lift him up. And that's a big help to our mid, who picks up first blood because of it. That's a big boost of gold, immediately 600 gold.
Axe is impressed.
So that's a good start. Now we'll speed this up as we move back up to our top lane. to help
Radiant's
out.
middle tower is under
112
attack.
we can pull. Now if you only pull this as a single pull, all that will do, this wave will just kill it, and then we'll have a double wave and it'll push back to the enemy's tower. We don't want that. We want the wave back here, so it's really hard to stay in experience range. So we're going to pull this across. If you time it just right, you can kill that last neutral creep just as they get there, and pull the creep wave and kill it off with the hard camp. On the Radiant side, you can pull across to the medium, and then, even then, if creeps survive, you can pull the hard over to the medium. But you have to cut down a tree to do that. Two Darks are trying to poke in, see what's going on with the creeps. If he's within range, he can sap some of the experience, so we want to scare him off a bit. Also, of course, don't want him to steal any of these creeps. So right now we're at 400 gold. The first order of business will be to upgrade this courier. You can't do that until 3 minutes into the game, so that's the first thing we're going to want to do and spend our money on. I think early on you need to give priority to Crystal Maiden to get her boots, just because of how slow she really is at 280 movement speed. It's really rough. Another pull through. This one creep won't be enough to kill off this wave, but we will get some experience by killing this creep. Should be nice. And trying to sneak in. That's the ward to give some vision, but we're gonna poke him away. That's the role of the supports here, is just to annoy him as much as possible. I'm getting over greedy though, the lift up, and use the surge offensively, which is not a good thing. Rubik actually very good against Darkseer because it's instant cast and good range. As soon as he goes to surge, you can just lift him, and then he doesn't have surge to get away because you've completely interrupted it. They'll pick up a nice kill there. The lane is going to push in, so we can't really do anything until we pull it back again. We probably shouldn't be hitting the wave right. We probably shouldn't be up here. There's no way we're going to take a tower at this point, so should have been back. But we'll still be in time to stack this at 53 and then pull it to pull the wave back.
Regeneration.
As we see, I've picked up a TP scroll from the side shop along with boots. I was fortunate enough to have enough for those boots. But the priority goes to the TP scroll because our goal now is to be able to respond on the map. As we see them trying to dive the tier 1, we can TP in and help. And that's what we want to keep our eye on. So lift up and then we get a free kill because they got over aggressive. That could have been the opposite way. Could have been going a kill on our mid the other way if we weren't carrying a TP scroll to help out. Crystal Maiden has her boots, so she should want to pick up TP scroll now herself. Still has that one ward. Would have been nice to make some more use of it. That's left over from the start of the game, but we can pick up the next set of wards. They are back up at this point. Actually, it's up at like a couple seconds in, so then I'll pick it up, and there we go. So we have those. Now there becomes the decision here of whether to go place a ward down here or in the jungle to help out our offlaner, or to just head back up top. I think I go down and place the ward since I happen to already be down there. And there we go. There's actually no vision on the map for the Radiant, it appears. There's just this observer ward, so the Darkseer is just holding on to the other one, and that's actually hurts them quite a bit, not knowing where we are. Actually find a invis rune, so I'm going to head up and see if we can make something happen mid with it. However, we see at the same time there's a rotation from the Darkseer. We know he's gone up top because he hasn't shown himself in a while. And here's a decision. I'm sort of nearby, but he's trying to go now. So I'm actually going to TP across the river. I'm not sure I've ever had that happen before, but hey. And again, it's just like, okay, free kills because we TP respond from them being over-aggressive. So if someone asks you why do you always carry a TP scroll, it's this kind of thing is why. Especially on supports, you need to be able to move across the map at any point and help out. But this applies to other heroes. Pretty much anyone, even the carry situationally will want to TP in and get free kills. I mean, sure you can get creeps, but kills are even better. Clockwork, especially when he has 6 TPing in with hookshot, very good. Still prefer more points in battery assault early on, at least 2 points instead of the 3rd point in rocket. But that's preference. Anyway, we're getting off topic. So support-wise, this is about as far as we want to go. I'll run up to about 10 minutes. But really, as we see, early game, as we have a lift again. That wasn't perfectly chained, but we'll still get him. A lot of damage from Ion Shell. I actually am moving around crazily to try and avoid a potential Sunstrike. He has it available, but he doesn't actually try. Guess he's not paying attention. Busy elsewhere in mid. But that's largely the goal of support, is just move around. You pick up what gold you can. So that's where you get early game from pulls. But it's just a matter of being wherever you need to be to help out the rest of your team. So again, replenish that TP scroll every time you use it. Key items on supports. You can talk about different supports and different items being good for supports. Normally those are big items that you can't rely on getting. And actually, this is a small thing here. Let me go back a second. Okay, so I look over because I was at this camp to potentially stack it, but it's empty. So I back up out of range of the spawn and go back in. And I see that it's not spawned. That means I know it's blocked, which probably means that there's a ward right here. So that's how I deward it. So sentries are almost always useful, even though it took a while before we actually got to make much use out of them. Not close enough to be able to actually get a kill there. There's dust on the Crystal Maiden, which I guess is good for the Invoker, who actually doesn't have a point in Wex, so he can't Ghost Walk. But against Weaver, it's kind of... you prefer sentries or a gem, because he can use time-lapse and that gets rid of dust. I wanted to stack that, but then it's like, oh right, healer. You can't. If there's injured creeps with a healer creep, you can't move because this guy will just stand there and do nothing but heal and block the camp.
What time is it?
You see more pickoffs mid, which is partly a result of just helping win that lane for the early kill at level 1, the TP responses whenever they try and get aggressive, that set them way back in a mid that really doesn't play well from behind.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Let's speed this along just a little bit.
Dire's bottom
We're up
tower
top,
is
we
under
see
attack.
2. That was just barely in range. And able to pick up another kill. And that's an advantage that Slardar has, is how aggressive he can be early on. Just does a ton of damage with once he has that level 6 in the crush.
Dominating! Axes pleased!
Is the ultimate Magus. That's right.
And that's where we need to be. Venomancer, no TP scroll, so he wasn't able to TP up and help out, as we were very close to the tower. So if we had immediate TPs in, they may have prevented a death or two. I have a smoke on me, and I want to replenish the ward up here, so that's kind of a nice combo. However, not necessary.
Axes pleased!
But it'll still make use of it and throw up a new ward. Because this is... I don't know for sure where their wards are, and I don't want them seeing where I'm placing mine. So that's pretty much the early game that we wanted to cover here. I don't know why I didn't lift him there to interrupt the shackles. It was kind of silly. But he's dead either way. Not enough damage. Sunstrike actually splits damage among the targets that it hits, and so you really only want to hit. You want to aim it so it only hits the target that you want, but that's pretty tricky. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in the early game. Head out. You want observer wards, courier, sentry wards, smoke. If you have a support combo that's not going to gank, like a combo with a Treant Protector, Dazzle, that's not gonna be something you want to try and rotate in with on mid. Then you can skip the smoke, but you still want the other items. You want to get up a TP scroll as early as possible. After though, prioritizing the courier upgrade at 3 minutes. You want to get that next set of observer wards so you are never out of any wards on the map. Normally they'll be up around 4.5 to 5 minutes if you bought them immediately at the start of the game. Because yeah, they take 6 minutes to respawn. You have a minute timer before the horn. So it ends up being around 5 minutes that you can buy that next set, and you want that ASAP. And then you can go in for stuff like boots and a magic stick. Arcane. That was the last thing I'm going to go over, are the kind of items. I started talking about it before I got sidetracked. You can talk about things like Aghanim Scepter on Rubik and saying, oh, that's great. But you're a support, so you can't be counting on getting items that are 4,000 gold or 4,200 gold. So you want to go in for the basic items that will help out your team. If you're a 4 support able to get enough gold and no core heroes are going to be getting it, a mechanism is always good on a team. But if you're looking at a 5 support starved, you're going to get, just get whatever you can scrounge up that's left over from everybody else. Magic stick, magic wand, arcane boots, bracers can eventually build into a drums. It's a nice build up. Force staff, always good. Those kind of items are the ones that you're looking at when you start trying to go for, Aghanim Scepter, Dagon, or I don't know what else you might look at. BKB, Shadow Blade. That's getting a little silly. It's not helping your team, and you can't reliably plan on getting enough gold at a reasonable time to actually be useful for that. So for an example of this would be Arcane Boots. A percentage-based mana regen item on heroes with good intelligence gain, like Rubik, are better than a fixed amount of regen. So Arcane Boots, they restore 150 mana when you activate it, which isn't a whole lot on a hero who regens at 3.7 per second and has a pool of 800 mana. So even just a Sage's Mask is typically better, or a Void Stone, which is still considerably less cost. However, the Arcane Boots help your team a lot more. Clockwork is a hero that is often mana starved, and we see he's gone for the Phase Boots build, so he really doesn't have a lot of mana to work with, doesn't even have a bottle to regen up, so that's going to help him quite a bit, though we do have a Crystal Main, who's also maxing Arcane Aura, so I guess it's not as much of an issue in this game. Sniper, not the highest mana pool, get out an extra Assassinate, always nice. Skipping Shrapnel in this case. Slardar, another hero who likes to have extra mana for more crushes, and his ult, so that's an example of an item where, okay, maybe something else might be slightly more convenient for you as a support, but will help your team way more. So that's our early game talk about supports here at Dota School. Hopefully that helps out and helps you be a better, more useful support for your team. Catch you next time.